Brits have been emigrating to Australia to seek their fortune ever since Captain Cook first sighted land and gold was discovered. Today, the pull of living down under comes from its golden beaches, warm climate and outdoor lifestyle. But not everyone finds the promised land. The Whyte family's future would lie on the outcome of the trial week they spent in Australia 2 years ago. They'd experienced everyday life in the country before facing one of the toughest decisions of their lives, whether to stay in the UK or start a new life down under. It was back in 2012 when the Whytes made the 10,000-mile 3-day trip to Brisbane. Despite a marathon journey, they were raring to go.
The journey wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be.
I think the journey was fine, but like now that we're here, just a little bit nervous.
My hopes for this week are to see properties that I could see myself living in and to try and get good news regarding work prospects.
And obviously I need to convince Nicole and particularly Martin to come with me, or else I'll be here myself.
There was a lot riding on the next 7 days. Back in the UK, home for the Whytes was in Inverurie, just north of Aberdeen. Claire, a social worker, and Martin, a policeman, lived with Nicole, Martin's then 15-year-old daughter. The idea of emigrating had long been on Claire's mind. She believed Australia could offer a better life for the whole family.
I think that all of us would benefit just from a better lifestyle and better jobs.
Claire and Martin met as teenagers and became a couple when Martin was 16, shortly after Nicole's first birthday.
I was definitely a bit of a lad and a rogue, and Claire kept me in the straight and narrow. She's pushed me over the years to do things, and she's given me confidence. And as for her relationship with Nicole, she took on me with a 1-year-old. I'd be lost without her, definitely.
While Nicole grew up, thoughts of emigrating were put on hold. But Claire's dream had returned, and that risked splitting the family in two.
I've been in Nicole's life since she was 1, and you know, when I refer to her, I don't say my stepdaughter, I always say my daughter, because I do view her as my own, and you know, I love her deeply. She's absolutely a fantastic young woman.
My relationship with Claire is really close. I think a lot of people find it a bit strange because it is stepmom and stepdaughter. However, I've known Claire since I was a baby, so I don't really know life without her. And I think I've got the closest relationship with my dad than most other children do. So it would be him especially that I don't know about if I could live without him, really.
Following Claire's dream would mean Nicole having to leave the grandparents that had raised her while young Father Martin finished school.
I've always kind of thought of them as a second parent, and now just thinking that I wouldn't be able to see them like apart from once a year and things, that's really upsetting.
You know, it'd be easier if I didn't want this, but it's quite difficult for myself not to give it a go. Yeah. Sorry.
The whole family was in an agonising position.
Who do I please? Who do I go with? Because I just want to please both of them.
I feel a little bit guilty because if I say, oh, I'm going to stay, then I'm holding them back.
There's never any doubt in my head that she's going to be there. And I think if she decides not to when we've been to Australia for the week, that'll give me some tough choices to make. I really do need to try and persuade her too, because, yeah, I'd be devastated if she didn't come. Yeah.
The family spent their week in Caloundra, north of Brisbane on the Sunshine Coast. Unspoiled beaches, crystal clear waters and a laid-back lifestyle meant it had become a popular destination for families like the Whytes. They stayed in a luxury 2-bedroom apartment close to the Sunshine Coast shops and beaches. So was it what they hoped for?
Oh, that's nice.
It's a holiday home.
It's good, yeah, it kind of gets that feel. It's a lovely view of the beach. That's nice.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, it's got a pool. Oh, ace.
Pacific views and a pool were a great start, but a vital 7 days lay ahead. Back in the UK, the Whytes lived in a modern 3-bedroom family home. Being close to Aberdeen, a city with a strong oil industry, had helped their house rise in value over the years, and they hoped to have a budget of around £300,000 to spend on a property in Australia.
The kind of house I'd like in Australia is similar to what I've got just now, space-wise. If it could get bigger, then great.
I like modern kind of houses, clean-cut lines.
We showed the Whytes 3 properties based on what they could afford, what they wanted from their ideal home, and one in between. The search began in the Kings Beach area. The most popular surfing beach in Caloundra, it was also close to the centre of town. This house looked unassuming, but the estate agents had promised something special.
It's big.
I don't think I like this one. This bit.
Come on, we'll look at the other rooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like.
I don't like this. That is an ensuite. I'm guessing this must be the main room. And although we don't have a big room at home, it's bigger than this.
Next room.
No.
I know right away.
No, right away. No, it's not really my expectations of a house for us in Australia.
Maybe the estate agents had meant the views.
I see the views are really nice with the mountains. That's lovely. Actually, there's a huge bit of ground here, but you can't hardly see because of all the trees.
Yeah. There's no pool.
Her face.
Not a massive hit, but was it within their £300,000 budget?
Oh, I've got a feeling it's got to be much more than we expect it to be.
Yeah,
To be
I think
honest.
so. If it's near our budget for the property, then
It's not worth it.
no.
Oh my goodness. Seriously? £321,000?
Shocking.
That is an absolute joke. Even if we can afford this house, I wouldn't want this house.
No, it's a sick now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well.
With the first house over budget and underwhelming, Claire's mission to get her family to Australia hadn't got off to the best start. The second property was just a short walk away. Would it lift the mood?
Oh, lovely.
Wow.
Pool's nice.
Looks really inviting.
So does this score a couple of points having the swimming pool in for you?
Yeah, but it depends on the inside as well.
The townhouse was spread over 3 stories, starting with the garage downstairs. And 3 bedrooms on the middle floor.
Single room.
Yeah.
Fitted wardrobe. Basic, but all you need for a small single room.
Across the landing lay a very appealing feature for Nicole and Claire.
Oh, but no, see, clearly this must be the master bedroom then.
Claire's claimed it already, Nicole.
Oh, the ensuite's lovely. And it is nice having a walk-in wardrobe.
Hey, you don't have enough clothes to fill a walk-in wardrobe.
That's okay. I'll just buy you one.
The third bedroom had a large balcony.
Oh, you see the pool? That is nice.
I quite like it.
And on the top floor was a large open living area.
Well, that's a big space.
The kitchen's nice enough.
Just a bit old-fashioned.
You can imagine sort of garden furniture out here. Barbecue.
With no furniture, it took some imagination to see this property as a possible home. Even so, Nicole and Martin were sounding positive. But was the price tag as encouraging?
There goes. Oh, the truth.
Guess think it'll be over budget.
Oh,
Yeah.
without a shadow of a doubt, definitely. And this is big, spacious.
Yeah.
A lot of rooms. 3 levels. Garden. Hey, Nicole, it's your turn.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I suppose that gives more hope that
I'm
there
very
is.
surprised.
You look happy. I really do think that's a really good price for the amount of space.
I would pay that money for this if it was our style.
Yeah.
Because that's more than value for money.
The Whyte's final viewing was in the Golden Beach area. Only 1 block back from the sea, it could have offered a great location to enjoy classic Aussie living.
This is big.
This is nice. I like the size of the room.
It's open.
I'm liking it.
It is. Yeah.
It's a nice enough kitchen now, Claire. Spacious enough.
It is. It's a decent enough size.
Alright, okay.
It's nice.
Modern.
It is. I like the big shower.
I just buy something outside.
You're happy? No,
Easy. What can you see?
Oh yes, I think I see blue. Did you get a pool perhaps? This is really nice.
This is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's lovely. I really like a pool.
It's a big pool as well, it's not just a little one.
So let's go find out how much more money we need before we can get this house. It's going to be our budget.
It looked like this house was almost a perfect fit, but was it one they could afford?
343. Not as much as I thought it would be over by.
Yeah.
Realistically, I wouldn't want to come and have a house and not have any money to do anything with.
No. Let's give us an idea.
It just doesn't quite match what I would like at all, to be honest.
If this doesn't tick the boxes for her, then I don't know what will.
It had been a day of ups and downs for the Whytes. The first house offered beautiful views, but was old-fashioned and overpriced. The second was modern with plenty of room and was affordable, but the kitchen didn't impress Claire. And even though the final property seemed tailor-made, it still couldn't live up to Claire's dream. So was Claire able to stay positive about property down under when it came to the vote?
Based on the properties we've seen today, our vote goes to...
Australia.
So why are you undecided?
I said undecided because on the properties today, I wouldn't take any of that 3 over the house I've currently got. However, a little bit more searching and it maybe get the one that ticked all my boxes, so that's why I've said undecided.
And you, Nicole?
I really like the last 2 houses, and I would move out here for the last one.
I've picked UK because one of the houses we saw today was an absolute disgrace and it needed far too much work.
Yeah.
The 2 other houses, one I really liked, one I loved. The one I fell in love with, to me that's twice the house we've got, if not more. But because I can't afford it, that's why I've chosen UK.
Okay.
In the UK, Claire was a social worker.
Although I want to go over there and also have a better life, clearly a massive part of that is my work. And I really enjoy my job here and I wouldn't want to give that up for something that maybe isn't as good.
Martin was a police officer. The couple worked long hours, but Martin was prepared to change careers.
I like challenging. I want a career. I want the whole package.
With Martin looking for a new role, the couple's visas rode on Claire's chances of finding work in Australia. She met Chris Boyle.
Hello, Claire.
Hi.
Hi, lovely to meet you. I'm Chris. Come on through.
Chris was senior practitioner at Queensland's Child Protection Offices.
The need for child protection workers in Queensland is in great demand. We certainly value people with experience.
Okay.
So it sounds like, you know, with your range of skills, we'd be able to find a fit for you within the office.
Great.
It looked like work could be available for Claire, but would it be so easy for Martin to start a new career in Oz? He went to meet Jason Crowther, a policeman turned animal inspector at the RSPCA in Brisbane.
I enjoyed my 25 years immensely in the police service, but the transition to the RSPCA has just been wonderful.
And do you find, Jason, that the skills you had as a police officer have obviously been beneficial in this role?
With respect to investigation, communication, management skills, most definitely.
It sounded like Martin's skills could translate well to RSPCA work. Across town, Claire wanted to know if she'd have to work the same long hours as at home.
How is the work-life balance in Australia being a social worker?
At times we have to stay late or begin early, but, you know, that will be the exception, not the rule.
Okay. What would be the pay scale that I could potentially earn?
Look, I would say that you would come in on a professional officer stream, so I would probably think you'd have a claim to come in around between that $66,000 to $70,000 a year.
That's much more than I'm earning in the UK, so that's really positive to hear that I would be more here.
It was encouraging news for Claire, and Martin was also keen to find out how much he could earn.
The gross salary is around $45,000 a year, and with that is provided you a computer, a home office, a mobile phone, a motor vehicle for your personal use and work use. So with that work and life balance,
Yeah.
the flexibility that it offers, the personal rewards that this job offers. You just can't put a monetary figure on them.
Things looked promising for Martin and Claire, but was that enough to win their votes?
We've both experienced work life in Australia today, so now it's time to vote what we decide. Australia. Ooh, Australia?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Totally not a job I'd even considered much, I thought about, but I got good news today and it just sounded like job satisfaction and
Okay.
work-life balance, and if you're an 8 to 4, you're 8 to 4.
Okay.
You work from home, you only work one weekend in 8.
Oh my, that's amazing, seriously.
Yeah.
One weekend in 8?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so much better.
And you?
Really, really nice guy. Money was much better. It's about 12 grand more than I'm earning at the minute. So I think that is really good, obviously, very positive, could fund a lifestyle change,
Yeah.
hopefully. And definitely a better work-life balance. So yeah, Australia for me too.
Good.
Yay!
Happy?
The Whytes now needed to find out if they could afford a move. They believed their home was worth £230,000.
Ready?
Yes.
This is a very nice, very attractive house. In fact, it's almost show house condition.
This is a beautiful cream shaker style kitchen and the lovely work surfaces.
This is a very nice, bright light family bedroom, plenty of windows. This is a very well presented, very attractive family home, and I would be putting a valuation on this property at £225,000.
Excellent.
In a vibrant market like in Baruri, I would value this house at £230,000.
It made me realise how much I do actually like my house.
The valuations were encouraging, but what about the Whytes' cost of living in Australia versus the UK? First, they compared the cost of the weekly shop.
Haggis. 0. We're obviously not getting haggis in Australia.
The grocery bill came out higher than at home. Next on the list were the monthly mortgage payments in Australia. With no guaranteed salaries yet, the couple were cautious and based the figures on the cheapest property they saw.
We're down left with a disposable income every month of £2,576.79. So we've got £1,644 more in
Better off.
Australia every month compared
us.
to the UK.
With almost an £1,800 per calendar month
Yes.
mortgage.
Claire was convinced, but were the figures good enough to win Martin over?
Having gone through the figures from the UK in comparison to Australia, it's now time to vote.
Australia. No brainer. It's got to be. I just think for doing jobs that hopefully you would like and a job that I would like, the earning potential here is much more.
The lifestyle over here can be free.
Yeah.
It could just be going to
Yeah.
the beach and going to a barbecue.
To sample the country's lifestyle, the family headed off to Australia Zoo.
First time I've ever even seen one up close.
Let's move. You could do this type of thing in Australia is amazing. Back home, you couldn't really do anything like this because it's too cold or too wet, and so this has really been a wonderful day so far. So that's maybe making me think twice about the move.
The Aussie lifestyle seemed to have won Nicole round, but education was important to her too, so she went to find out about Australian schools from some local pupils.
So what do you want to do when you're older? I want to be a doctor and I want to study like medicine. They put you in subjects that will take you to what you want to do when you graduate, and then you can go to uni.
There was some advice about starting over and leaving her friends and family behind.
If I came here and I had to be the new person, I don't think I'd really like that.
Yeah, I know it's like a tough decision, but it's pretty lucky that you're like old enough because you can always fly over by yourself if you really wanted to see them. And there's video calling and stuff.
Alright, thank you.
See ya.
That had always been a stumbling block for Nicole. So had she heard enough to put her mind at rest?
I've had a great time at the zoo today, and now it's time to vote.
Australia.
Australia.
Yay!
So Nicole, why did you vote Australia? What was your reasons?
I voted Australia because there's just so much more opportunities to do things out here because of the weather plays a big part in it, and also because Dad and Claire would be at home more.
It's really nice how laid back and relaxed they are. And yeah, it was nice to spend time with my family.
The lifestyle out here is just completely different, and to hear Nicole saying that she knows that we'll be home more and we'll be able to go out more because we'd have time off, and yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. Happy, Nicole?
Yeah?
Yeah. Good.
The Aussie lifestyle seemed to have worked magic on Nicole, but there was one final obstacle to face, and for her, it was the toughest of all.
Hello, Martin, Claire, and Nicole. Claire is more like my best friend. And then my daughter. We're really, really extremely close.
He's very outgoing, easy to get on with. Just a good person, actually, Martin is.
She's always got like a story, something funny to talk about, and she always knows what to say if you're like upset or anything.
Well, love her so much, and obviously, for her to maybe go away to Australia, it'll affect us in some way, obviously, but for her parents to go over there, she should be with her parents.
Remember, it's you as a family you've got to think about. Don't think about anybody else. You know that I'm going to miss yous. Be floods of tears, but there you go.
I think she'll do well there. I'll miss her more than words can say.
She might have a better life in Australia, but I think she'll have a hard time like letting go of all of us and her family.
Don't worry about missing us too much, because we will be over as often as we can. Okay, darling?
Everybody was positive.
Yeah. It was hard kind of seeing her as upset as she is.
I don't like just seeing them on a screen.
Despite a positive week, watching messages had brought Nicole's fears flooding back. The whole family now faced their final decision.
Seeing Nicole that upset doesn't do good things for me. That's not what you want to see. Not at all.
I think I've made my decision, and then something else will happen, and it's like, well, maybe, I don't know, it's just, it's really hard.
I think Martin's in a very tough position because if Nicole doesn't want to come and me and Martin do, and Martin then says no because Nicole won't come, then that'll be it for me. I just won't come either. I would put the needs of my marriage first, of course I would, always.
I think they're kind of expecting that I'll probably stay home, but I think they're both wanting me to stay here.
15-year-old Nicole was under pressure, so at the end of their week in Australia, which way did the family vote?
We have had a really good week in Australia with ups and downs, but now it's time to vote. Australia.
Australia.
In the middle.
For me, personally, it's Australia because 1 week and I'm already thinking that this is the life for me. I'm willing to give it a go. I think I would regret it the rest of my life if I didn't at least try it.
Yeah, pretty much the same for me. We've all really enjoyed ourselves, and I just think the worst that can happen is we come out and we don't like it and we go back. But I think that if we come out and do give it a little time, that we will really enjoy it. I'm quite pleased that you voted in between rather than just going UK, because I was thinking you might have just went UK, to be honest.
I was going to go UK, and I just changed my mind at the last second. But there has been good things here, but I still want to be at home.
I visited the Whytes just a few weeks after they returned home. The hardest part of the week was watching friends and family, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Were you surprised just how emotional that you got?
No.
Really? You knew you were going to get upset?
Yeah.
I knew she'd be upset, but when I actually saw how upset she was, I did think, oh, this maybe isn't such a good idea.
So, Martin and Claire, I think I know the answer, but since you've been back, has your opinion changed at all about moving to Australia?
Not at all for me, personally. I definitely want to go. Yeah, I just loved it. Fell in love with it.
And once we were there, I was like a kid in a sweet shop. I fell in love.
And Nicole, 50-50, undecided when we last saw you, and since you've been home, you've had a few weeks to think about it, to talk to your friends. Can I ask you to vote one more time for me? Your final choice. So here's your flag. Let's see this time. So give it a good twirl.
It's going to be Australia.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's so relieved. So tell me, why the change? Why did you make that as your decision?
Well, I'm a bit unsure, but I'm willing to go and give it a try. And I said that if I go and I don't like it, then I could come back. So I think that's put my mind a bit at ease as well.
As much as it's Claire's dream, and I fell in love with it. Nicole means everything with the move, so I'm just delighted. I'm absolutely over the moon.
She wants to be together as a family, and because we've said, 12 months, give it a try, and if you don't like it, you can come back. And she'd be well looked after with Martin's parents, so as long as she was happy coming back, then we would fully support that.
The dream has come alive, and Martin, you're fully on board, but the best news is that Nicole is as well. Have a fabulous time over there. When I last caught up with them, it looked like the Whytes were on the verge of making the move to Australia a reality. So, 2 years on, where are the family living now? It's 2014 and Martin, Claire and Nicole are living in Melbourne, Australia. After I met the Whytes in Scotland, Martin and Claire started investigating visa opportunities. But it turned out Nicole did have a bit more dithering about making the move.
I was still undecided, and I kept not giving them an answer. And then one day, I was at school, and I texted my dad saying, okay, we both know that I'm going to go since you're going to go.
Nicole had been persuaded by her dad and Claire's promise that a move didn't have to be for good.
I think that made her feel a bit more reassured, didn't it, that she wouldn't have to stay in Australia if she didn't like it.
It was just icing on the cake, and then it was like, right, let's go.
The family applied for a visa, which was approved much faster than they'd anticipated.
12 weeks later we got it granted, which was a huge shock because it was supposed to take 12 months.
All of a sudden, the family's dream move was fast becoming a reality.
It was exciting, but then it was like,
yeah.
After 12 weeks, and it was,
yeah.
Oh no.
I was a little bit frightened just at that point, not because I didn't want the visa, but just thinking it was speeding things up dramatically.
With around 12 months until their move, the family put their house on the market and Martin and Claire started checking out work opportunities. Unsure which city to move to, Martin was offered a job in Darwin. Shortly after, Claire secured a job in Melbourne.
Claire's one was better, to be honest. It was a good one I had lined up, but we went for the one that was more secure. A permanent role, and obviously it's something that it was the same profession, so Claire knew she would like it.
Before they knew it, the family's departure for their new life was imminent, and all that was left to do was to say their farewells.
We had a leaving drink that people could just show up to if they wanted to say goodbye, and it worked really well. It was a really good day and very comfortable.
After selling their house in 3 months, the family had spent 10 months living first with Claire's parents, then Martin's, but that time together made leaving even harder.
It was very difficult for my family to accept that we were moving. My mum and dad didn't speak about it a lot, but it definitely, I could tell that it was playing on their mind.
Spending so much time with them again, like when we were children, it just made it, that much harder, definitely. I think saying goodbye.
And for Nicole, it was particularly tough leaving Martin's father and mother.
Grandma is who I'm really, really close to, and she'd pulled me into the kitchen and she'd said all these really nice things about how much I'd like it here. And then she hugged me and said she'd see me later.
and then that was it. And then I'd hugged my granddad and said goodbye to him. Sorry. And then we left, and that was it.
There was no turning back for the family now. But after an 11,000-mile journey, as their new life approached, the reality of settling in Melbourne began to sink in.
So when we were coming in on the plane and looking out and seeing how big it was, you know,
It was
compared
dark,
to where we come
and
from.
I just saw lights, car lights, and it was just lanes upon lanes upon lanes, and the traffic and the size of the city, coming from the northeast of Scotland, a little pocket in comparison. I did turn to Claire, and I think I said something like, "Oh my God."
And that wasn't the only shock.
They told us that none of our 4 bags had arrived and was still in London.
We got complimentary t-shirt and shorts that we were wearing for the first week.
Martin, Claire and Nicole stayed with friends in the city for 3 weeks to settle in, but their first night on Australian soil was a low point.
It was just so overwhelming, you know. Literally, you could feel the distance from Scotland to Australia. It just felt so final.
I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep the whole night, and I was lying awake thinking, what have I done? I was lying awake thinking about going home, and then I turned around at one point, and it was literally early hours in the morning.
4 in the morning.
And Claire was fully awake as well.
And we started chatting about that we were scared, and you know, it was a huge city and what had we done, and I think that first night we just needed to get off our chest, and since then we've never looked back.
It just needed that one night of fear and emotions and anxiety. Just lay it out there, get it out of our system, and then go for it.
Nicole, however, had had a restful night's sleep.
They told me about them being awake the night before and how scared they'd been. But then as soon as we got out that day and we started doing things, they realised that it wasn't so bad.
The Whytes are now renting a property in Mernda, around 20 minutes northeast of Melbourne centre.
So this is our kitchen. This is where spend a lot of time.
A lot of time. Yeah. The breakfast bar.
Breakfast bar. It seems like a focal point because when we get people around, rather than being so formal sitting down in the living room, the fact that the open plan, you just walk around and there's plenty of space.
This is really where we do our TV watching at night after a day at work. And the main feature really is the patio doors leading out to
the garden.
Outside area. It's quite small, but it's useful. There's no grass, low maintenance, which suits myself and Martin.
Firstly, it's not a nice day today,
No.
but when it's beautiful, sit out here, you get the chairs out, the parasol, the barbecue on. And this is leading into the master bedroom. Really big and spacious. Got a big walkway there as well, which leads us into the walk-in wardrobe. One suite just there.
It's always on my wish list to have an ensuite, so I'm delighted we got one of them.
This is Nicole's room. It's big enough for her. She's got her double bed that she demanded.
There are some elements missing from their new home for Martin and Nicole, though.
I didn't get my walk-in wardrobe and swimming pool yet, but I will get it.
I haven't got the cinema room yet, no. But I've got a double garage, which I now call my man cave. Delighted I've got it. It's my favourite room. It's got everything I want. It's got my tools. It's got the pool table, which was a must. It's got the bits of home, the flags, and some memories, things that I've done, and certificates. And it's got a sofa, flat screen, computer console. Too much girls in the house. I'm outnumbered, so it's me and my man cave with a beer and TV on.
Claire had started work as a senior social worker 3 weeks after the family arrived, but the role clashed with the lifestyle the family had been chasing.
It was 10, 11 o'clock at night I was finishing, and by the time I got home it was midnight and everyone was in bed and I'd missed out on yet another day.
Claire's changed jobs and now briefs state ministers and prepares parliamentary papers on policy and research that would impact on child protection.
It's my new role, much better, you know, working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Martin has left the police force behind and is now working with the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine in their donor tissue bank, and the hours suit him perfectly.
I'm only working 6 hours a day, Monday to Friday, so I've got it made. I really have. I can't complain.
Longer term, he's looking at a potential future in the oil and gas industry.
Once you're in, it can open a lot of doors in different parts of Australia, and I've been looking at college prospectuses, and I've been looking at courses and hoping to start by the end of the year.
But for now, the couple are enjoying the new lifestyle their working hours afford.
Martin has done shift work for the past 9 years, and you know, only a couple of weekends we'd have off together every couple of months. Whereas now he's Monday to Friday. We have a commute together into the city, we have breakfast together, we can plan to go for dinner and to see a movie after work. He's not as stressed, you know, he's happier, and that's all that I care about.
And come the weekends, the family have been taking full advantage of their new surroundings.
We go to a different town pretty much every weekend. We have went to Sydney, we've went to the Whit Sundays, we are going rock climbing, Martin's got flying lessons, kayaking, we're giving everything a go, and that's what this was about, coming here.
Nicole's noticed a difference in her mum and dad.
They're really outgoing and they're really taking in the Australian lifestyle, and they're trying loads of different things and loads of new things, and yeah, I think they're just loving it.
And Nicole herself has settled in better than Claire and her dad could have expected.
I think overall Nicole has coped really well from being away from her friends, and particularly Martin's parents.
But starting at school meant she didn't have a completely smooth transition to life down under.
She found she was ahead of everyone else the same age as her, and she was finding it worked too easy.
I was coming home and I was getting annoyed to my dad and Claire because I was frustrated that everything I was doing I'd already done. I was just repeating things.
After pushing for the move in the first place, Claire was overcome with guilt.
That time I did think, you know, what have I done? You know, it's my selfish needs before hers, and that's not fair.
Nicole's now back in her stride though, after she was moved up a year.
Ever since then, school's been much more enjoyable for me because I've actually been busy, I've been doing things.
The Whytes have been in Australia for 8 months, and Nicole's not planning on returning home anytime soon.
She's speaking about applying for university in Australia, which obviously makes me and Martin really happy.
It made me feel relieved that she was considering university over in Australia, but it also gave me a sense of things must be pretty good before she's considering staying here.
She set her sights on studying in Queensland.
That's where I want to live, that's where I want to be, and I just think that this is a really good opportunity for me. I want to do nursing and midwifery, and I've been looking at all the courses and everything, and I think that it would be a great opportunity, and I honestly think that going to uni will be like the best years of my life.
The long-term plan is for Claire and Martin to also leave Melbourne behind.
Every time we've got any extended periods of time off, we're going to travel. So by the end of the first 2 years in Australia, we're going to decide what state to stay in. And at that point, once we've moved to that state, probably look to build a house then. We do suspect that we'll probably end up settling in Queensland or Western Australia. That's kind of what we're thinking longer term for us.
But for the moment, the whole family are enjoying life in the city they now call home.
There's just so much to do, and you know, when the weather is okay in the summer and things in Melbourne, you know, we were out all the time at the beach and, you know, having barbecues, and yeah, it's a great lifestyle. And
outdoor cinemas.
Yeah, I mean, things you never experience at home.
To be lying under the stars at 10 p.m. at night watching a movie.
On a beanbag.
On a beanbag.
Yeah, love it.
If I did that back home, I'd get pneumonia.
There seems to be only one downside.
The hardest thing is 100% family.
Yeah, you can't come to somewhere amazing and have new experiences without a sacrifice of some kind, and unfortunately, for the moment, that's a sacrifice that is. It's about, you know, missing out on that, I suppose, being connected fully to your family and your friends.
For now, though, Claire, Martin and Nicole believe Australia is home for good.
I'm glad walking. I'm glad that Claire firstly convinced me, and then me and Claire together convinced Nicole. I think Claire's telling us a big fat told you so. She's loving it.
No regrets, not one regret. No. If I didn't come, that would have been my regret.
Now that I am here, and now that I've got all these plans for the future, it has become my dream as well. I don't think that I'll ever go home to live.
We don't know where this journey will end, but it started and we're loving it. and yeah, what will be in the future, but we're living for the kind of here and now, are we?
Despite some bumps along the way, the Whytes now seem to have smoothly settled into the Australian way of life. Claire's lifelong dream to move to the other side of the world has resulted in dividends for the whole family, and long may that continue.
One of today's homes under the hammer is in a place the locals refer to as Little Switzerland, but there's also bargains in Kent and Stoke next.